Hello and welcome to Footy Corner TV. I'm Sparks. Nice to see you all again. It's been a bit of an entertaining week, so we've had a bit of a mega crash out all around the board. But if you're just joining in for the fun, please make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Hit the like button. Any chats you've got while we're live, put it in the chat section or in the comment section below. When we get when you see the recording. We've got Dom with us. How are we, Dom?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Interesting couple of days, but we'll discuss that in due course, I'm sure. But glad to see you're keeping well too.
Yeah, as I was saying off stream, I've kind of made a bit of a rod for my own back. So yeah, yeah, go away in 5 days and decided I'm going to book a plasterer in my room. It is my lounge, so we were going to have to ship everything out anyway. But yeah, just kind of made it a bit more of a mission than I needed to make it, to be honest.
Bit of a tight window.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, just maybe I should have decided sooner. You know what I mean? Just kind
bit
of
like
throw it
bit,
out there.
bit like Forrest and Zinchenko, right?
Yeah, I mean that was weird. Something that a move prior to that kind of fell through, though, didn't it? So
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I kind of
Marseille.
think that's yeah, Marseille. Yeah, there was two players from Marseille that actually fell through.
Yeah, was it? Yeah, were they interested in Vieira at some point?
I'm not sure.
It was
No,
definitely
that was Stuttgart, wasn't
Stuttgart.
it?
Yeah, who?
Yeah,
There was another interest, another Arsenal player, wasn't there? But I can't
that
remember who it
might
was.
have been Lokonga, but I think
Yeah,
it
it could
went
have
it
been. Yeah.
cooled off very early. I think. But yeah, it's yeah, it seemed a bit of a weird one. I mean, we can do the transfer window first because obviously that's it was quite entertaining from different fronts for different reasons. Obviously there was 11th hour bid for Isak. Did you actually think Isak would get done, or did you think it was going to be left out?
Um, no, I thought Isak was going to go through. It was the only once he started behaving as he did. It was the only sort of thing left open to him. I think it's probably just slightly dependent on Newcastle getting someone in, but it was becoming untenable there. It was always a question of price and what have you. Mark Gehi was the one I was relieved to see not go through to Liverpool. To be honest, I think that was arguably more critical to Liverpool. Given the fact that they have, Joe Gomez, who has a significant injury history as their only alternative centre back to their starting two. But I think Isak was always going to happen. But we'll see. I think I've talked about it before, but Liverpool's window very heavily, dependent on boosting their attack, and even with their defenders they did sign, they're very attacking defenders. Arsenal sort of went to sort of plug the gaps they felt they had in the squad. Um, if Liverpool stay fit all season, then I think they're going to win the league. If they get injuries at the back, I think they're going to really struggle. So we'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of agree with that. I mean, attacking wise and first 15, 16 players, I think that they're well ahead. I think obviously if they don't get injuries, I know we're not allowed to say that word as Arsenal fans, but we haven't we're still waiting on the permission from the Liverpool fan base. So yeah. But yeah, seriously, if we get injuries, I think we're covered a little bit better.
Yeah.
Granted, the cover isn't as good as the starting players, but I think the drop off isn't at the gulf that it once was, is it?
No, exactly. I think when you look at it, most teams, you'll have two or three, maybe four positions where, you're pretty much like for like. Otherwise, it's going to be drop off in every single position. But as you say, I think the drop off, much less significant. You look at the window. I think either everyone has been upgraded or has been at least replaced with a player of similar quality, and I think that could prove quite decisive across the window. If you look back on previous seasons, there's always going to be injuries, but you go back 3 seasons, Saliba gets injured, Rob Holding comes in. Saliba now gets injured, it's Mascara. I think that's a big improvement. I'm just using one example, but I think, Saka last year, it was what, Sterling. This year, it's Madueke. That's a big increase. Havertz, it would have been Jesus, but of course he got injured, so you're going down to Moreno. who's who's probably still our third choice, but your second. Well, when Jesus comes back, he's your fourth choice up there. But you just look through, and that there is upgrades there, and that squad looks far more covered. Um, and Arteta now has to deliver. He has to get the
Yeah.
rotations in, and he has to now use that squad because it's a squad that he should trust because it's entirely his squad now, and therefore has to deliver.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of the his players and his squad. I don't really buy everything into where everybody says, "Oh, and he picked Vieira, he picked whatever." Well, if he picked him, why didn't he play him then? So, I don't really buy that so much, to be honest. I think now there's more of an argument for that. But I think when we've gone through the whole period and everybody says that's the Sesko was his choice, and obviously he didn't get Sesko. Obviously, it's not his choice, is it? So,
No, I think that's right. It was a bit simplistic, but I think the point I'm making here is that the squad is now up to the level that he wants it at, and therefore there should be a trust in it. I think players like Vieira, I think he probably saw him and wasn't as good as he thought. Probably wasn't his pick necessarily, but I think when you listen to a lot of Arsenal journalists who sort of speak to people, there's a transfer committee, so it will have been Edu, uh, Jason Ato himself and a couple others. Now it's Berta himself and a couple others. They might not
yeah,
be their choice, but they are all signing off on that process, which is what I mean by
yeah,
his squad.
sure, and I think that's more the way it's been going for a while, rather than Arteta picked him and Arteta didn't pick him, and
Yeah,
I just don't buy into that nonsense, and it's just something else to basically hit him with a stick
I agree.
when things just don't go right.
Yeah,
And you're right. I think he does have to deliver now. He has to deliver something, and the year after it actually has to be a big trophy if it's not a big one this year. So
yeah,
obviously time's kind of running out. But I don't know about you, but it's every single stream I go on, somebody talks about Arteta out here, there, and everywhere. Right?
yeah,
I'm not being funny though. Where are Aston Villa right now? Because there's a manager there that we used to have that these people seem to think that we should have stuck behind, who's languishing down the bottom half of the table. Granted, it's very early. We know that. Um, but the reason they're down there is because he didn't make Champions League football, so they had to sell players.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, Unai Emery. I think that Unai Emery had to go for a couple of reasons. One, yeah, he's undoubtedly a good manager, right? He's done a good job. He did a good job at Villa, not quite got there. Did a good job at Villarreal, etc., etc. But I don't think he's quite top drawer. But I think Unai Emery had to go simply because it's a cliche, but he lost the dressing room. The players weren't playing for him, and I don't think anyone kind of knew what he was trying to do. We might not like what Mikel Arteta is trying to do, or some won't, but I think you can see what he's trying to do with this squad. Now, Emery, I mean, Khaled is right here. Emery is I'm sure a good guy, but at Arsenal it just didn't work. And look, it doesn't work for some managers at some clubs, and it was always going to be difficult. Replacing Arsene Wenger, you saw David Moyes really struggle to replace Ferguson. Being the one after the main guy is always so difficult. But it also highlights at Villa how difficult it is to crack the the top of the Premier League because it is so competitive, and that if you miss out and you've gone for a break, you then have to sell players. Newcastle had a bit of a yo-yo, didn't they? They went top four, out of the top four, back into the top four. Because it is so hard to be consistent.
Mm.
And sometimes it's right manager, right time. As we say, Arteta, he has to deliver this year because this is probably the second year of having a squad I think that is capable of winning. I don't think it was capable of winning before that. I is in the Premier League. I don't think it was quite strong enough. I think it is now. Last year was last year. We've been over it probably hundreds of times.
Yeah.
But you can't have that twice, but you can have it once. Other managers have had it that have greater reputations and great experience in the game. They've had it, but as you say, it does put the pressure on him this year to win something, and it probably has to be something big next year if it's not this year. I agree entirely, but I also think he's well equipped for it. I think he can handle the pressure, and I think he knows it because he probably wants to deliver as much, if not more, than anybody, because he
Yeah.
wants to cement his reputation, prove he can do it.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, but when you're saying chill on Emery, I'm not basically saying he should get fired by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying that all these fans out here basically say, well, we should have kept him, and he could have done that with Arsenal. And when he was actually employed, he was employed to get us back in Champions League football by hook or by crook, and he basically negated the league, you can argue, to win the Europa League, to basically do what Ange did last year, and he didn't win it. So his credentials came before us, and he didn't get us over the line. So obviously that you've got to lose a little bit of credibility for that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can make the same argument that Arteta also hasn't delivered. He sacrificed arguably cups to try and
Yeah,
deliver the league.
I'm not saying he did.
Yeah.
I'm not for 1 second saying that he has delivered. I'm just offering an alternative point of view, and this is by no means an Arteta glazing or anything like that.
No.
I'm a match going fan, and the match going experience is far better because of him.
Yeah, and that's the point I was going to make, was that the difference is simply that there seems to be that sort of a bit more togetherness here and a bit more of an identity, which I think, in fairness, Emery has had at those other clubs where he's done very well. He just didn't have it at Arsenal. I think that's the difference. That you could deliver.
Do you think he actually learned? Do you think he learned a lot from his time at Arsenal? His kind of failure to manage things that he now does things slightly differently. I mean, I don't know how it works. I don't know anybody inside the Villa dressing room, but he seems there just seems to be a bit more togetherness and a bit more on the same page, sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe it's just that the Villa situation is different, and he just couldn't handle all what was going on at Arsenal. He's handled it before at other clubs and delivered in a similar way to Villa, where he's sort of taken sides like Villarreal and Sevilla that were similar to Villa and got somewhere with them. I just think that Arsenal at that point were, there were a lot of issues that required solving, and you're following a legend, and I just think it just didn't work for him. Wrong manager at the wrong club at the wrong time, rather than he's a bad manager. It's and that's why I think he struggled there. Whether he learnt from it or not, I'm sure he did, because he's a smart, intelligent man. But I don't know. But I think what he's done at Villa, he's done at other clubs before, so it's not a surprise.
Is this at you?
This is me. This is Tim from Online Big Blue. I'm actually wearing one of his T-shirts. He does an excellent New York Giants NFL channel, and it's not a lot going on at the moment before the first game of the season. So he watched soccer on Sunday.
Oh God!
We agreed to call it European football.
For God's sake! No, it's called football because you kick the ball with your foot. It's quite simple, really, when you think about it.
It was getting confusing on his NFL channel, so we agreed that's how we were going to sort of split the difference, so people knew which one we were talking about.
Yeah, guys, while you're in here, please make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 subs. That'd be very good at some point. I think we're on about 300 at the moment, so we're on the way. We're on the way, but long way to go. And I go away on holiday for 10 days, so obviously not going to be anything now. But he's saying you've got a beard now, or is he saying it as he's got a beard?
No, I have, because I've been too lazy to shave it for.
I mean, we're kind of both the same. I think we're just generally being lazy. I think.
Yeah. So pure laziness.
That's probably what it is, and I haven't got the time and the energy to look after a beard. I can tell you that for nothing.
No, It will get to the point where it starts to get unruly, and I'll be forced to shave it because it's less work.
Yeah, I have clippers for my stubble because I can't be bothered to actually shave. So I have clippers. I just take it down to what, like 1 mil or whatever it is, and then it goes again. So
Nice,
yeah.
nice. I applaud the effort that goes into being lazy.
Yeah, it's literally just like, yeah. And the best bit is when they run out of charge because I can't be asked to
Oh,
charge them.
yeah, been there.
Yeah. So Emery is basically a god to Villa fans. You notice that all the teams that he's managed, or the teams that he's managed to do stuff, have got Villa in the name.
Yeah, apart from PSG, but I
Well,
think
yeah, I mean, but yeah,
but
yeah,
I think
obviously.
my grandmother could manage PSG to the title because there's
Yeah, I
literally no
mean,
competition
yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, I like I like their current manager. I like Luis Enrique. I think if we were going to have anybody to replace Arteta, I think it would be him for me. But that's kind of all an illusion because at the end of the day, we all know that we'd get some kind of project guy. We wouldn't get somebody with credentials that can actually do the stuff, do we?
Well, I think we're in a different place now, so you never know. But right now, it's a moot point. He's
Do you actually think that we'd go for an elite manager though?
I don't know. I think no, I don't think many people thought he was gonna. We were gonna hire a sporting director. He's a cheeky bugger. Um, an elite level sporting manager. A lot of people thought, we're going to go for someone like Jason Ato or Dean Ashworth, and we didn't. We went for Berta. And I think, these owners haven't got everything right, but since they came in, they have invested a lot of money, and things have definitely changed. Have definitely changed. So you never know. But I mean, right now, as I say, it's a moot point. They have full faith in Mikel Arteta, and I think if we weren't to win anything at the season, I think it more likely Arteta resigns and he's fired. I genuinely do. I'm not
Do you
saying that
think? Do you
either of
think
those
he
things
would
will happen.
resign?
I don't know. I don't know. I think he definitely wants to succeed, and I think he will reflect on last season and the bits that he got wrong, but he'll also thought, do you know what? That was a tricky season for anyone.
Mm.
Whereas I think this season, I think he knows, look, I have 2 players in every position now, plus some spares, and it's been 5 years. I think, he very much feels that. I mean, he talked about, I think it was after the first or the second title challenge, he talked about, can I get us over the line? That's always, you can look at that 2 ways, right? You can look at it as, oh Christ, he doesn't have the mentality. But you can
Yeah,
also
he
look
doesn't
at it
have the
as,
faith himself.
yeah, or you can also look at it as, you know, asking the questions to see what he needs to do to get it over the line. And I think with him, it's very much the latter because he's incredibly driven. He was a limited player, and I'm not trying to disrespect him. He's way better than I was, but but he also got the most out of his ability, and I think you're sort of seeing that as a manager. So,
Mm.
I think I wouldn't. He doesn't need the money. I mean, no manager doesn't, but they still want to be sacked. But I think he probably would more likely resign than be fired. I don't think they're going to fire him at the end of the season.
No,
But
I
hopefully
can't
we
see
won't be
that
having that
either.
conversation anyway.
No, hopefully we win something anyway. So it's a moot point. But yeah. What's the gentleman called?
Tim,
What's the man called?
Tim.
Tim. Okay, yeah, that's much less of a mouthful than New York Giants straight talk. Make sure you're following him, but I won't be repeating that anymore because it's just too much for me. I can't trim my beard, so I'm not repeating that every time. But we all know that the left side has been a problem area for Arsenal last season. Is
He's
it
been
still a
listening.
problem?
I think it's less of one. I think if you look at the transfer window, you could make the argument that Eze isn't an out and out left winger. But I think if Calafiori's behind him, I think you get it that way because he then overlaps, sort of similar to Ben White on the right hand side. I don't think you play Eze in the left wing if Miles Lewis-Skelly plays at left back because he kind of comes inside and they're both in the same area.
Yeah.
But I think you could argue that you haven't got the lights out left wing, replacement / upgrade on Martinelli, who I think when he's on form is a very good player. When he's not, he tends to struggle. He is a confidence player that goes in and out of form a bit, which is not uncommon for wingers, by the way. But that would be the one area you could argue we haven't upgraded this summer. But I think the side looks far more balanced now. And we're starting to see that left-hand side be used more. And I think, if and when Martinelli finds his form, or, Trossard or Eze play out there, I think that left-hand side will be much more balanced and will be improved. But you could make that argument, but I don't think we can have any complaints overall in the incomings in the transfer window
No,
whatsoever.
I wasn't making that point as such. It was just like, well, the specialist left winger, um, Martinelli's kind of flattering to deceive, and Tim's put there's no longer room for Gabriel Martinelli. I think it's getting to that point, isn't it? I mean, it's every fan's kind of defended him, and that run that he made when Gyökeres kind of overlapped him on the left hand side and broke the line, or he was going to break the line, and he didn't play the ball.
Didn't
That's
play the ball in, yeah.
absolutely criminal for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's his decision making, isn't it? And I think, I think we spoke about it on here before, but he struggles when there's less room. But at the moment, there was plenty of room, left by Liverpool, because they will play a high line because they're a good side. And he struggled to find the right ball consistently. And, he's just a player
He
that's
didn't find
massively
any
out.
ball. That's the problem.
Well, exactly. And we've talked before about the team's gone past players X, Y, and Z. He's in danger of being the next one that does that too, but it's on him now. Can he find that form, and can he show that he has got it? I mean, he's done it at times. Can he do it consistently? Because he's going to have to now, because the level is that much higher.
Yeah, I even think Madueke is over him on the left hand side anyway. So if Saka's fit and Madueke is fit, and I know he's a left footer, but I think he should be over Martinelli, shouldn't he?
I mean, right now on form, I think that's right. No question. If Saka was fit on Sunday, it would have been Saka and Madueke, I'm sure, that would have started that game.
Yeah. And the Tim's just put another one up. But basically, Arsenal were open to selling Martinelli for more than 60 million, but interest only reached 40 million. I read this as well, and do you think if we'd got 40 million for him, we should have just sold him anyway?
No. I think Arsenal have a reputation for selling poorly, which started to slightly change in the last year or two of Edu, with the fees we got for likes of Balogun and Smith Rowe, and what have you. But the going rate for a Premier League winger, and that's what Martinelli is. He is a
good one though.
Decent, but I think it is a much between him and Elanga.
I mean,
I think they're same bracket, of player, and they were going for 50 million plus. So I think at 40 million, you say no, but I think when you start getting nearer the 50 million, that's where the conversation might change.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get that, but didn't we pay something like 6 million for him?
Oh yeah, he would be a handsome profit, but
yeah, I get that it's from a different standpoint and kind of a different era, but maybe bringing in 40 million would be enough to kind of get him out and then go, well, we'll put the 40, even if you put in 60 down, and you're amortizing it. If you can learn to speak, maybe that's better to kind of cut your losses, but hopefully he learns from the whole thing and starts to get his head up, because he did have moments, didn't he, when he actually, we all said he's not going to make a player, and he started to get his head up and look a different player completely, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought he ended last season really well after he came back from that injury. He looked much better. I mean, there were moments where you could sort of see the rustiness as he came back from that injury, but you'd expect that from any player returning from injury. But actually, I thought he looked much better. And as I say, he can play well at times, and then he can go through these spells. And I think ultimately that will mean that the team's gone past him. And I think you do make a good point that, from a PSR point of view, that 40 million is really incredibly useful. Even if you spend more on alternative, it actually helps balance your books because of the way the rules work. But yeah, I think there's also that thing of Arsenal do need to shed this reputation for selling poorly, and 40 million would probably be in the market an undervaluation of him. But I equally think that he will be the big sale next summer. Whether we will get, the question now is if he continues his form for a significant period of time and Arteta loses faith in him, as per the discussion earlier, does it mean you then struggle to get 40 million for him next summer? At which point, well, you should have taken 40 this year. But I think in football, it's an ifs and buts, and then you see what happens. Sometimes you can get lucky. If he refines his form, to some extent, you could be looking at 50, 60 million this summer, and you've got through this one. And, a player like Rodrigo might be available. I'm just, sort of speculating. But it could go the other way. And you get 30 million for him. And Rodrigo, is new manager at Real Madrid, and Rodrigo's really happy and he stays and, he's not available. You just never know. And you just have to see what happens. But
yeah, do you think that's why we sell poorly? Because we just hang on to players too long, we get too attached to them, we kind of treat everything as a bit of a like you're in until we say you're out, rather than your form drops off, so we're going to get rid of you.
Yeah, I think there's an element of that. I think if the club has incredible loyalty, generally speaking. I know Arteta's been ruthless at times, the likes of Aubameyang, Rob Holding, etc., etc. He's been very less Rob Holding, I suppose, but he's been very ruthless, at times with players and just not played them. I think that not playing players when they're clearly out of favour, really doesn't help. Because then people know that you want rid of them, and I think it's why we saw us really take it down to the wire, and why we had to send players out on loan to a large extent, albeit that there's some like Reece Nelson coming off big injuries last year. Sambi Lokonga again keeps getting injured out on loan and disrupting him. That doesn't help. Although ironically, Lokonga obviously went out on a permanent. But I think there's that. I think there is the fact that wages. We're often selling to European sides who have A, less money, and B, can't take on the wages. So therefore, you have to kind of lower the transfer fee so they can cover the wages. Those sorts of things all eat into it. But I do think it's a reputation thing. We've been a soft touch for so long that clubs, until you change that reputation, clubs think they can take advantage and will take advantage because it's a ruthless business. So I think, but I do think there is a loyalty thing there. I was going to make the point that, you look at El Neni, broke his leg or whatever it was he did, and Arsenal offered him a new contract. I can't think of any Premier League club that would have done that. He was out for the season. You knew you were going to get rid of him next summer. Why? Why did you do that? No, I can't think of another club that would have done that. And that's where we don't help ourselves. Great values, but it's also a ruthless business.
Yeah, so you're basically shooting yourself in the foot, aren't you? To be fair, and I can understand if he's got some kind of deal where he goes straight into the coaching role because he was doing his badges and stuff like that. So I can understand if that's the case. You like giving him his last year, and then it's going to transition. He's going to stay as a coach.
Yeah,
but that clearly wasn't going to happen.
No.
So I just don't understand why you would extend a contract.
No, and if you wanted to help him with rehab, you just go, look, no contract, but you're still welcome every day in the facilities. We'll help you rehab, but we're not going to pay you to rehab.
Yeah, I mean, we've done it with all sorts of players, including players that don't even play for us. That we've offered rehab facilities because it's in London, and because it's close by to a facility. So it's like, well, yeah, can I use it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
and
even Beckham used it at one point.
Yeah.
So it's not it's not reflective and whatever. It's just and that is a certain thing that you can be classy about, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And just offer out the facilities if they want to get better. But I just wish we weren't such a soft touch. Like you're saying.
As I say, I think in summary, it's we don't help ourselves. But there are also some factors that make it harder for us. But that but that's both of those are on us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of get the Trossard thing a little bit more now that obviously Havertz was injured, and maybe it was foreseen that he was going to be a bit more of an injury. So if he stayed on the wages it was on, he'd want to move away. and if you offer him the wage that he wanted, maybe he stays for the season, and then I don't know, we take a pittance next season. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I think, they were obviously looking to sell Martinelli as per Tim's point earlier. It was apparent that wasn't going to happen. And I suspect they thought if we sell Trossard, the money coming in isn't going to be sufficient for us to get Eze and another winger in.
Yeah,
And I suspect that's why they made the calculation that it is better to offer him an extra 30 grand a week and take 10 million next year. I'm speculating on numbers. I don't think his new contract numbers have come out. That is and to keep the player for the numbers in the squad and his obvious quality, particularly off the bench. I think, he's got great numbers off, coming on as an impact sub.
yeah,
Is better for us to try and win the title this year, which is what it's all about. This was clearly a window designed for win now rather than the future. And I think that's where they went with Trossard, and that's why they did it.
yeah. Was it Belgium that played yesterday? Did they play yesterday?
I don't know. I can check.
I'm just looking on live score. I saw a rerun of him scoring a curled goal into the top corner.
No, can't see internationals
I
yesterday.
can't
Was
see
Kuwait versus Lebanon, but the match was cancelled.
And there's nothing today, then, is there?
No, I thought it seemed a bit early, but I thought, oh, maybe I missed something.
Yeah,
Well, you've
well,
got Seychelles versus Gabon. It ended 4-0 Gabon, and Qatar are taking on Bahrain in a friendly later. But otherwise, no internationals today.
It must be an old one then.
Yeah.
They're just
No,
they're
Belgium are playing on Thursday.
right.
They are away to Liechtenstein.
Okay, yeah, it must be an old one on the feed then. It's just a bit weird that came, the timing of that. I just wondered if they played and I'd missed it, sort of thing. But yeah, I'm okay with keeping Trossard because I think he has got a good impact off the bench. I think Martinelli should be off the bench as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so.
Because that's where we're at. He's not in form, so he shouldn't be starting, to be honest. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you put him in against Port Vale, and see if he can refine his form. That way, bit of training, little bit of time away. Sometimes that can help a player a bit of time away from the spotlight, pressure off, and then come back in a game that sort of suits them. Hopefully that'll help him because him playing well across the course of the season can only help our chances. But right now, I agree. He's you can't start him in the next game.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's trying to play him into form or he's got a reasonable record against Liverpool, but yeah.
Funny enough, I actually suggested they started Martinelli against Liverpool, despite how poor he was against United.
Yeah, so did I, in fact. But I was like, well, yeah, it was kind of reluctantly, I suppose.
The logic was all there, wasn't it? Which is you're going to need his defensive work rate on that left-hand side, which he still did, very well. But also Liverpool are likely to leave more space, which is where, in theory, he thrives. Unfortunately, he didn't play very well, and I think, that is one area where I think Mikel Arteta probably should and could have made that change earlier. And I think with hindsight, I think he would probably agree.
Yeah.
But, otherwise, I'm slightly less critical about, what he tried to do. I fully understood what he tried to do. I wouldn't have gone with that try. I would have gone with Eze instead of Moreno, not to criticise Moreno, but because I just think something different in that middle would have been incredibly useful. But I understood what he tried to do. He tried to replicate what Newcastle did, which worked incredibly well, even with 10 men. When he was 5 minutes away from getting a good point at Anfield. But, the downside of it was the narrative was always going to be he's too defensive and he didn't try and win the game, which I don't necessarily agree with.
But I'm told as well, especially by people that are on YouTube, that the only reason that Liverpool didn't attack is because they couldn't. So by that token, the selection works, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
if they locked you up and you couldn't play through midfield like you wanted to do, it's not being negative.
No,
it's picking a selection that's going to do the job you want.
Yeah, that selection to me was Mikel Arteta trying to win the game at Old Trafford, at Anfield, by thwarting the Liverpool attack.
Yeah.
And yes, minimising his own attack, but hoping that something would happen. And then he made the changes later on to try and change it, more offensively. It didn't work, and then the narrative is as the narrative is. I don't think there's any shocks with that narrative. I just think it's a little bit. It personally, I think it's a bit disingenuous. And to your point, he did look up Liverpool. That Liverpool side is one of the best attacking sides in Premier League history, and certainly the best in Premier League right now. And I would put good money on them not having just 3 shots on target in a game again in the Premier League this season, unless it's at the Emirates.
Yeah, and I always thought as well that as the home team, the onus was on you to make a big game of it, not the onus on the away team.
Yeah,
And I get that. Yeah, you need to kind of put it down, and put a marker down, and do this, that, and the other. If we go all guns blazing at Liverpool and then get smacked 4-0, 3-0, 4-0,
yeah,
the narrative's just like, oh, he's just naive.
yeah,
He thought he could come here. He's bullshit, Spanish, whatever. And he's come here arrogant, he thinks he can take everything down. What? So what now? He can't be arrogant now, can he? Is it, I've heard for years Liverpool fans saying that he's arrogant, that he's this, that, and the other. And he's happy to go and basically stifle a game for the benefit of the team. And how, I'm not sure how that's arrogant.
No, I mean, is he arrogant? Yeah, he probably is. But also, I think most Premier League managers are. I
Oh
think when you
yeah,
get to that level, you are. But I think I fully understood his game plan. I'm not going to bash him for that game plan beyond the fact I thought Martinelli off, 10 minutes early because he was having a poor game. I don't think I can overly criticise him. I think it was a moment of magic between the two sides, and that was it. And as you say, the onus is on the home side to do it. They got 3 shots all game because of the way we played. They also, to be fair to them, defended very well. Slot made a
yeah.
tactical tweak. I wasn't sure if they could do that, and they did. But equally, Arteta would have felt he could have won it. By correct, he would have felt we needed one good chance, and if we got it, we were going to, we're going to take it. We didn't. They did, but ultimately, if he'd come away with a point there, this narrative doesn't exist. And
Oh,
the
he
narrative,
still would.
well, possibly, but not to
Yeah,
the level it has, right? But the narrative is there. But the narrative was set up before the game. And as to your point,
yeah.
if we'd gone there and we'd gone, Eze, and we'd gone, I know Havertz isn't available. Havertz up top with,
Odegaard.
I was going to say with Gyökeres, and we'd gone, 4-2-4 and got Tonk 4-0. These people criticising for being defensive would then criticise him for being that. It's because he lost the game. The narrative was out because it keeps people talking about the Premier League during this international break, and that's what sells the Premier League. And in some ways, I
Yeah.
can't blame them for that because it's got people talking about it. But I don't think it's a fair narrative on Arteta, and I don't think had it been the other way around and we'd gone there and won 1-0. Slot might well have been criticised for not trying to attack the game and take the. I wouldn't have thought it was fair on him either, because actually both sides will have felt a point keeps them, is good for their title race. Obviously, 3 points is better, but
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, as well, if you're going for a point, which I don't believe he did. I
no,
think
I don't.
he went to contain, and he probably, you know, hoped for a set piece somewhere
Yeah,
that something similar to they got, and he got the point. So I don't think he played for the draw. I think he just played to contain, and he was beat by a worldy free kick.
yeah,
Just like sometimes you just have to take your hat off. And
yeah.
I
I agree.
have you seen the one, I can't remember what channel it's on now, but the clip of Rooney where he's basically starting to criticize the free kick, started to criticize the keeping,
Keeper, yeah,
and Joe Hart broke it down
yeah, yeah,
literally by sector by sector by every movement he made, and somebody said, "Oh, he stood in the wrong position." Yep, he stood where he can see the ball, mate.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you stand, as Joe Hart said, he stands, a pace to his left, you know, I think it's his left, but anyway, whichever way, no, left as we look at it, to his right. Oh,
yeah,
well,
to
anyway,
his
you know
right.
what I mean. He takes
Yeah,
his
yeah,
pace
yeah,
the other way. He can't see the ball, and then he doesn't know
yeah,
when it's being struck.
yeah,
He
exactly. So
the only thing I can fault David Raya for with that goal is the fact he's not about an inch taller.
yeah, 2 inches, 2 inches wingspan.
Yeah,
I think, and he saves that. But
yeah,
you
but it was
know,
a it was a great free kick.
yeah,
No
you
question.
can't change that. You can't turn him into Donnarumma, can you?
No,
You know,
no.
because that's what it'd take him, really.
Yeah, and he
Um,
has attributes that Donnarumma doesn't.
yeah,
He's in his own right. He's a very good goalkeeper. It was
yeah,
just that, and I agree with you entirely that it was a no, once you lost that game, it was a no win for him on whatever happens. And I think we spoke about it before, sort of 13, 14 points, and I don't think 14 is actually mathematically possible now. But 13 to 15 points from your first 6 games is still very much on, and if you get that, you're very much in the title race.
yeah. I think I was said the minimum of 13. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we agreed,
I think it's
in
something,
around
yeah,
that
somewhere
number,
around that.
yeah. And that's very much on. Very much on.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but it does obviously make the other games a bit more important, a bit more must win.
Yeah,
Obviously Newcastle are a bit weaker now, so the theory is we should be able to go there. City haven't started particularly well. Um, I wasn't impressed with them in the first game against Wolves. I thought they were good. I thought they were all right, but I think they were allowed to look that way because Wolves were terrible.
yes, agree.
Um, so they're
Wolves
true
lost all
test is the
confidence the
second game.
second they lost the game. They lost their first goal. Wolves are
Yeah,
done.
yeah, exactly. I think Wolves go down anyway. To be honest with you, so um, and then the second game was Tottenham, wasn't it? So
Yeah, and then Brighton,
yeah,
yeah.
and they did them, and then Brighton did them this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I think Tottenham and Brighton. So I watch quite a lot of City because my boy is a City fan. I let him pick his own side
Sacking.
more for me. Yeah, I know, more for me. But he so I've watched a lot of City, and I said to him, he said, "Do you think we're going to win the league this year?" And this was July. I said, "No." I said, "I don't think the
What
squad is strong
City?
enough." Yeah. I said, "I don't
Absolutely
think they're
not.
in the title race. I don't think the squad is strong enough defensively. I think it's weaker in attack than it used to be, and I think the midfield is promising, but I just don't think you are. I think the only thing I would say about their start of the season would be that Brighton and Tottenham, the way they play is perfect to counter City, which is very similar to Newcastle, who are weaker, but they are perfectly set up to beat the way Arsenal play. So, but hopefully that transition that we're trying to get to, which is what I think, as you said in the Liverpool game, looking for a set piece, I think the alternative was that quick transition goal. I think we will be better at it by the time we get to Newcastle, and that might well help us unlock that Newcastle side. But I think City are
Yeah,
definitely beatable. Certainly, I think we're playing at home as well. And you need to get to 13 points from where we are. It's 2 wins and a draw, and I think that is more than doable.
yeah, I
Um,
think so.
you know, so I'm still very positive about it. It's just a shame we've now got the 2 week break for people to dwell on the Liverpool result.
Yeah, it's. I said this is to. I was on another stream Monday, and I was like, "Yeah, the worst thing is we've got 2 weeks to dwell on it, and we feel like crap. And literally every stream you go on are just going to be talking crap about the crap,
Yeah,
and it's just. I just get bored, man. I just sometimes I just have to turn them off, and it's not because I'm hating on the channel and whatever. It's just like the same conversation, the same agenda, the same just profile going on and on and on. And it's just like weird. I don't understand why so many rival fans want him sacked, and it's just like, well, are
well,
you
I understand
thinking?
why they want him sacked, but rival fans I do. But
Yeah, but I mean, if you're basically turning around and going, well, he hasn't won anything, then you want him to stay in a job, don't you?
well, you'd have thought, right?
Yeah,
So
well,
you're saying, but you're making that narrative because you think he's going to win something, presumably.
well, that's all it can be, isn't it? Or I don't know. Some logic goes. We have one of the group chats, and they call it Lagos logic. It's just like, what?
Yeah, it's just swallowing the narrative. It was after the game that was preordained. I always say apply some critical reasoning. And that works both ways.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
But they all come from Sky, don't they? All come from that kind of thing, and it's just like Sky are kind of getting worse than Talksport, really.
mm, yes, I think so.
Just
It's a preordained
any
narrative.
yeah, it just gets a bit just get a bit boring. But
Yeah, and that's not just with Arsenal, by the way. That's
no, it's
that's
with
across the board.
any game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's just really tiresome, and it's just like, well, yeah, critical thinking, like you said, it's just simple, just analyze it properly rather than what you thought was going to happen before the game, or because you predicted Arsenal to win, just so you can create a pylon.
yeah.
You
But it's
know,
the same with Man United, isn't it? Look, we're
yeah.
back. And then no, we're not back. Well, you were never back. But also, equally, you're not as bad as that Grimsby result, right? You
No,
are somewhere
absolutely
in the
not.
middle.
It's a freak result, isn't it? At the end of the
Yeah, yeah.
day, it's nobody wanted to turn up, nobody wanted to play, and you kind of got the reward for it. Have you seen the fallout from that actually? Because they fielded an ineligible player like 60 seconds after it was. And talking of Talksport, I saw Cundy on Talksport basically going, if it was the other way around, they'd want him out. Well, didn't Liverpool field an ineligible player,
They
and they
did.
did exactly the same for them?
Yeah,
And I don't know whether Chelsea did that, but I know that they've had plenty of strikes for signing underage players, for selling things to themselves,
yeah,
and just overspending in general. So they got a fine of 27 million. With 67 million suspended, they'd done it that much.
yeah, exactly. At some point, you have to go, well, and they have had them before from UEFA, transfer ban, point stocked, because clearly the fine isn't working. I think, you know, I think the rule should be one way or the other, which is, I don't think it should matter. And whatever the rule is, it's either you field an ineligible player, you're knocked out, or actually it's your first attempt, your first one, that's a fine.
Yeah.
Your second one, you're out, and that applies over a 5-year period. You know,
Mm.
I mean, Grimsby obviously shouldn't have played him, and it doesn't really, in some ways, matter whether it's a day late or a minute late. You're still late, and therefore you can't play him. But it was also a minor administrative error, and I think credit to Manchester United for not trying to appeal to get them kicked out of the cup. To be fair to them,
Yeah.
I
To
mean,
be
the only
fair,
thing
I
I would,
think they would have been run over the coals if they had done that.
yeah, it's bad PR, and we know PR is important in football. But I mean, the only thing I would agree with Cundy would be that if it was the other way around, United had won and they'd fielded an ineligible player, absolutely there would have been United cheated, you know, and I would have probably had the same reaction, as I do with Grimsby, which is it's 1 minute late, it's a minor infraction, and probably doesn't impact the result in the game.
Yeah.
That's the only bit I would agree with him on. That would be, but the pylon would have been more had it been Manchester United because they're a bigger
Of course
club.
he was, but that's because they're a big club. This is a big
Exactly.
profile. It'd be the same if it was Arsenal, Liverpool,
Yeah. Or any
Chelsea,
Premier
whoever.
League club, arguably against
Yeah,
Grimsby.
yeah. So any top, definitely a top Premier League club.
Mm.
Maybe a Brighton, probably not quite so much. But
Well, I think even then, against Grimsby,
it'd still be high profile, but it wouldn't be,
to a level,
it
levels,
wouldn't.
right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be reaching the stars, would it? Like it had been. But
I think common sense has prevailed here.
yeah, I completely agree, and it's just like, well, and I would say that if it's Man United as well, because it's like, well,
Yeah,
who really cares? It's a bloody minute, and
yeah,
there's a lot of things that happen
yeah,
in a day. 1 minute is quite easy to misplace.
yeah. It's
So
it's like that player, was it Cardiff signed a player and he couldn't play him for 6 months because it was something like 37 seconds late on the
yeah,
registration. Can we just have a tad of common sense here? You know,
yeah. Yeah, it wasn't ratified or it wasn't signed. No, I think what they did, they sent the paperwork in. It wasn't signed, so they
yes,
sent it back for a signature, and then it came back the
yeah,
37 seconds late. And you're like, you've already had the paperwork. It just
Yeah.
didn't have a signature on it.
They just didn't tick the right box or whatever,
Yeah,
you know.
that's it.
Yeah.
So, like you say, common sense should prevail, and in my opinion, it has in this instance.
Yeah.
Had it been Man United doing the same thing, and even Liverpool, Chelsea, whatever,
Spurs even.
I'd say well, maybe not. No, we got that. Trying to book him.
My big disappointment though about that was I didn't see a single headline say Manchester United sunk by Mariners.
They were too busy getting battered and
Yeah.
literally throwing fish wrappers and did you see the one with the manager sat on the bench in the
Playing with
on
the
the
tactics
touchline
board.
in the tactics board, and he's actually announcing the players that are going to be out and in, and he's switching around. I thought that was quite
It's not a
funny.
good look, is it? I'll tell you what
No.
though, while we're on headlines though, favourite ever football headline has got to be when Inverness Caledonian Thistle beat Celtic. Oh, this must have been late 90s. And they were in the bottom division of Scottish football, and the headline the next day, and I think it was the Scottish Sun, was Super Cali go ballistic, Celtic are atrocious.
Oh my god.
Best headline of all time. Showing my age though.
Yeah, that is showing your age, but he's probably still younger than me, to be fair. But
I'm 41 if that helps.
yeah, you're still younger than me. But there we go.
There you go. Can't be
Yeah,
much.
I'm 48.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't look it.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, I want to come back.
Yeah, come back anytime you want. It's I don't need flattery on age profile, whatever. So
I'm still
yeah.
amazed I managed to keep up with a 22-year-old on football on Monday night.
Did you you play centre back as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that way I don't have to run.
Well, apparently you did, but
Yeah. I gave the ball away, and knowing full well I wasn't allowed to slide with 10 seconds to go, I slid from behind. I won the ball clean as a whistle, and because there's no injury time, when the time's up, because it's rotation on and off. They started pushing and shoving and what have you, and they ran out the clock. Knew exactly what I was doing.
Yeah, fair. We haven't kind of covered the game as such. We kind of did a kind of tactical analysis of it. Was there anybody that actually stood out for you in the game? Subs obviously could have been better. Maybe was anybody else that you were hoping to get on earlier, or what do you think?
No, as I say, I think, Eze for Martinelli is the one I would have done earlier. I think the Moreno for Odegaard substitution was the correct one, but that's not to discredit Moreno, because Odegaard also works very hard defensively and does the job. But I think the two players I would really sort of signal for were Madueke. Obviously not a popular signing. My issue with him was never the player; it was whether that would preclude us from going for other players. Rodrigo was almost in my mind.
Yeah,
And
I would
Eze,
agree with that. Yeah,
we got Eze, and Rodrigo didn't pester to leave Real Madrid, which is the issue I flagged, which was, Arsenal had a choice at that point. Do you go Madueke now, or do you hope for Rodrigo later? And I think probably I fully understand the decision. And look, Madueke, I think, has started his Arsenal career quite brightly and is looking quite good. And it's nice to have a proper backup to Saka. That's not to disrespect Wanyeri, but his future is inside, and it's good to see him being used there. So I think Madueke, looked direct, looked comfortable on the ball, looked to take it on. And I think as he sort of grows into the team, will be, a real asset there. But the other one, I think, and he's got to be said, is Christian Mosquera. What difficult circumstance to come in, even if he'd started the game instead of Saliba, which I think he should have done. I think Arteta should have taken that out of the player's hand and go, you've rolled your ankle, I'm not risking you, even if it's Liverpool. I don't risk him missing other games as a result. I mean, the plus side is missing the French games, but but don't risk making that injury worse. But that would have been difficult as well for Mosquera coming in at late notice. But I thought he looked very, very good, very, very composed. I don't think it was his official debut because he came on as a sub, didn't he, in one of the other games. But essentially, that was his debut, and I thought he was excellent, really excellent. Can't fault him.
Yeah, I didn't actually notice any difference, to be honest. I was he was that good. I didn't actually notice any difference from him and Saliba, and I know Saliba's not necessarily been particularly in his finest form, but I don't think he really had any alarming moments. He's very Saliba-esque actually in his movement and the way he actually operates. So um, yeah, I thought he stepped up really well. But yeah, the other one I'd shout out is Calafiori because defensively as well. Granted, he didn't do that much attacking wise. He had his a couple of moments, but everybody has him down as being suspect defensively. And all right, he was helped by Martinelli for the most part. Still, whether that there is that debate whether you actually want Martinelli to come back. Certainly not by that much and that frequency, but he did help him out. But I think Calafiori had a really good game as well.
I think that's a really excellent one to point out, actually, because I think probably in this game I have no issue with Martinelli coming back so much, given sort of Liverpool's attacking threat down that side. I think it's sort of a horses for courses. But Calafiori, you're right, was excellent for going up and down the pitch, and as you say, not so much going forward. I think same with Frimpong coming the other way, didn't do so much either. Sort of talks, as we mentioned earlier, about the sort of tactical frame of mind from both managers. But that left back role is one of, if not the hardest position on the pitch. I've spoken about it many times before because of what we're asking them to do and where we're asking them to play. They leave a lot of space behind them generally, and Gabriel deserves a lot of credit for covering some of that space. But it does make them more likely to make an error. Which we then criticise them for. But it also, I think, brings far more benefits to the side as a whole because of the way they're being asked to play. And I think, absolutely right to point him out because he has come from a lot of stick, and I think unfair and undue stick. And I'm really pleased with the start he's had to the season. I think Miles Lewis-Skelly will come back in at some point at times this season. I think probably good to sort of give him a little bit of an extended rest in some ways because he's still a very young player and this is a very difficult start to the season on paper. But yeah, you're absolutely right on Calafiori.
Yeah, I think he might start against Forest. I'm not entirely
I think
sure,
so.
but
Yeah.
it probably be that kind of game that he'll get that starting. Um, I still think that might depend on whether White's fit as well. With one kind of inverting and one flying on, but
I think
yeah,
I think that works. It's I sort of again it changes game to game, but Calafiori and Timber and White and Miles Lewis-Skelly is kind of what you're looking for. But I
it's
think
the
it'll also
go-to, isn't it?
yeah, it'll also depend on whether Eze starts as well. If Eze starts, you probably do prefer Calafiori at left back because he'll go outside. But maybe Miles Lewis-Skelly can too. We've not asked him to.
No,
But you know, no one asked him to be a left back before last season. He did that all right.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Um, Welcome in, Hyper. How are we, my friend? Yeah, if you're in the stream, please make sure you're hitting the subscribe button, the like, and any comments, just put them in the chat as well.
You're on your way to 500. Let's hopefully get you there by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Sooner if possible.
sooner, really, not being picky, but but yeah, sooner. I'm starting pushing it hard anyway. So definitely from when I come back from holiday, I need more panelists and guests and stuff. So I just kind of want to do a show every day, but I'm kind of not confident enough to do it on my own. That's kind of my problem, really.
Oh,
But
you'd be great.
yeah,
It is easier in the two when you're doing a long show.
yeah,
But
yeah. I don't really like talking to myself, to be honest. I do it in private anyway. But yeah. But when what did you make of Eze when he came on? Because I heard people saying, "Oh yeah, well Eze made our only run into the box because Martinelli didn't get in the box." But that's not quite true because that run that Gyökeres made, where he didn't pass the ball to him, he actually ran into the box. It was a blind alley, but he did run in the box. But yeah, what did you make of him when he actually came on?
well, I'm a big Eze fan. I thought it was a promising debut from him. I think I agree with your assessment there, but I think I also think as well you kind of have to look at it in the full sort of round, which is he's been with the side for what 6 days, if that. before he played at Anfield. You know, and there is going to be that adjustment period for him to understand the sort of attacking movements, etc., that are being made and asked for. So, you know, I thought he looked promising. You know, while I would have started him, I understood exactly why he didn't start, and you know, but I think overall, I think that sort of his future is promising. I thought it showed glimpses of what I think he will bring to this side. And evening, Lee. I hope you're doing well.
Oh, is that one of yours as well, Goon Gathering?
Yeah, yep.
I'm just
Yep.
checking that I am sub to his channel, actually.
He like us is a sort of very rounded commentator on Arsenal.
Okay, I'm just trying to find. Oh, you just Twitch as well?
Yeah, I think so. Lee will be able to confirm.
If you do Twitch as well, then I'd be interested to talk to you actually, because I thought about doing it, and I have a Twitch account and Twitch channel, but yeah, I just wonder if it's actually worthwhile doing. So it'd be interesting to hook up. I just followed you back and subbed on your channel anyway, so yeah, please make sure you do the same.
I think he has already, but
happy days.
Khalid here. I don't know what you think, but I mean, I wasn't shocked he didn't start Eze.
No, I'm not either, but I would have preferred to start him over Odegaard, over Marino. I was a bit disappointed he didn't start him, but then I did understand why, like you said earlier. But I just still preferred to see as just that little maverick, just a little bit of a unknown quantity, and the reason I guess that the reason that the defense coped so well is because we didn't attack as much as we could have attacked, so we did actually stifle more than anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right, and it's not a knock on Moreno. I thought Moreno did his job really well, but I think you want Moreno to come in when Rice isn't playing, rather than when Odegaard isn't playing. But yeah, I you know, I wasn't shocked. As he'd been there 6 days, it was a game where he went with a game plan to, you know, go physical against that midfield. I called the Moreno starting before the game in my starting 11. I think the only one I didn't get was Calafiori for MLS. But, you know, I understood fully why Eze didn't start, but I think he will start on the left wing in our next game against Forest, I think, isn't it?
See, yes, it is Forest, the next one back. I said this in one of our Twitter chats, and I got a bit berated for it, to be honest. But I was like, well, yeah, I don't know what you want me to say, because it is, in my opinion, going to start on left wing unless we're changing formation.
Yeah, which I don't think we're going to do. Nor do I think we should. There's been a slight tweak this year with Odegaard slightly higher, but you know,
well, that's only because he doesn't have to come as far back
because you've
because
got
of Zubimendi and Rice. That's the only reason for that. So that's just going back to what it was the year before last.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, and I think that's sensible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, subs should have been 10 minutes earlier. I completely agree with that. I think 55 to 60 minutes. I think the sub should have been on. I think it let it settle after half time. People were saying half time. I don't quite agree with that. I think you should literally just, if you've made it that far, stay in the game, and then I think kind of at that point McAllister was starting to tire. I don't think Wirtz was probably doing what he was doing to start off with, so maybe he was tiring a bit, given that he's adapting to the league as well. So I would have liked to seen those substitutions made about 10 minutes earlier, just to kind of be proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have done it at halftime, definitely not, because I thought we sort of were controlling the game relatively well at halftime. I would have certainly made the Eze for Martinelli substitution 10, 15 minutes earlier, because Martinelli was clearly struggling. I'm less worried about the Odegaard for Moreno substitution. I think it was the right one. Certainly. We don't
Do you
quite know.
think? Sorry, just picking
Yeah,
up
that's
on
right.
that. Do you think that making those two subs at the same time was a bit weird? It was like kind of a you kind of putting two of the same kind of development on at the same time. You lose a bit of structure on it.
No, because I thought Eze was quite disciplined, and Odegaard we know puts in the pressing and the defensive work. So I would have got, as I say, Martinelli. I would have gone earlier because he was just clearly struggling. But I don't think it was necessarily weird because we're going to look to play them together at the same time anyway. But I thought maybe a couple of minutes earlier because Moreno was starting to tire, and you're going to get some good defensive work, which is what you need at Anfield from Odegaard anyway. The only unknown is, do we know how long they thought they could control the pain in Odegaard's shoulder for, which is an unknown to us as fans. Clearly he was fit enough to play some kind of minutes, probably not the 90. And you'd have thought if you can play 25 minutes because you've got the injury time, you can probably play half an hour. So I wouldn't have thought that was a factor. I'm just saying we don't know that. But, I wouldn't have made the Moreno for Odegaard sub that much earlier. But certainly, to Lee's point here, Martinelli was, it just wasn't working for him, and he needed to be brought off.
Yeah. I mean, from early on, I think we could all see that. To be fair, it was he was doing a lot defensively, and I got criticised for saying that as well. But I didn't say I wanted him to do stuff defensively. I just said that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
It was an assessment rather than a nod to go, yeah, you're great, you're defending.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to give him his credit for doing that, right? But that's not what he's in the team to do.
That's what I know what you're there to do. So, all right, you did it. And even Saka did it. Madueke, Saka's done it previously. Madueke did it in that game. So everybody comes in and facilitates, but you just don't have to do it that much.
No.
And basically you just need to get up there and yeah. And if you've got a number 9 in there, at least try and make him in. I don't even care if you make the ball. If you've got the vision to see that that's the ball, that's what I want to see from you. That's the first thing I want to see from you. When the next thing I want to see from you is making it. But if you're doing neither, then we kind of struggling.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Lee's just made a very good point, which kind of sort of thwarts what I was saying. To be fair earlier, which is you get Eze on about 55, 60 minutes, but then you have one window left for your remaining subs at that point. Because I'd forgotten that, of course, Saliba had gone off 5 minutes in. That's your first sub. So if you make that, if Saliba had got to half time, which maybe makes the argument for Martinelli off at half time, but then you've got to think about the impact that has on him mentally as well. But yeah, it's a good point. He had 2 windows left because of Saliba. But as I said earlier, I think my big criticism of Arteta for the game is you shouldn't have played Saliba, not just because he lasted 5 minutes, but you just shouldn't have taken a risk with him at all with that.
No, I mean, it doesn't show confidence in the player that you brought in to facilitate for him either. He's kind of a marker to him that you don't necessarily trust him as well. So, and all right, you don't want to throw him in a big game. That's probably all he was.
Yes, I think so.
He can cope, but if he's struggling, he's struggling.
Yeah. I mean, if Saliba had done that against Leeds or Nottingham Forest, I think Mosquera comes in. I kind of understood why he tried to do it, but I think it was fundamentally the wrong decision to do that because, he's got an injury. It's not an easy one you can't run it off, but yeah. But that then, as to Lee's point, does restrict him. And later on, and that is on him. But ultimately, I don't think there was that much wrong overall with the with what he tried to do, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah, as I said, I think getting to that point, getting to the 55, 60 minute mark, I think he'd done that excellently. He shut the crowd up. It just seemed non-existent to me. You had your moments where it was the Diogo RAP, um, uh, memento, and then there was something on 65 minutes. I don't exactly know what that was for, but yeah, there was something kick up for that, and then but other than that, I didn't really notice the crowd at all.
No, they were and that talks to the way Arsenal played, right, which was subdue Liverpool and subdue the crowd, and that's not easy to do at Anfield.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got to get credit for that. As need to shut the crowd up and whatever, but obviously won't. But yeah, we were way too negative, not enough intent going forward, and it cost us in the end. I think that is correct up to the substitution point, because I think that at that point we could have been a bit more positive, a bit more proactive. But I think over the course of the game, I think he just did what he had to do, and got a bit unlucky, really.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's as we said earlier, you go there and show massive positive intent and get battered 3-4-0, which Liverpool could do to any side. And we're a
Yeah,
very defensive side. You get you get absolutely battered for it. I think on another day he plays in exactly the same way and he gets at least a point. Um, I really do, and I fully understood what he went there to do. They're the best attacking side in the league, and we went to nullify them and try and nick it on a counter or a set piece. And I think ultimately that's how teams will beat Liverpool this season.
yeah. And the other thing is that kind of fans were basically going that they dealt with the corners really well. And what Khalid says here absolutely did my nut in. You've got an in swinger one side, an out swinger the other side, but you did the same thing every single time. And the in swinger, you know, credit to you, you can put on a sixpence and it's underneath the goal. But if it's swinging out, it's so easy for them to deal with, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Khalid here. And it was Rice's delivery is normally very, very good. It wasn't working on Sunday, and that we should have just tried someone else taking a corner. And that in swinging ball is so dangerous. I don't mind the occasional outswinger because it's a sort of bit like cricket, isn't it? You put five sort of swing away from the batsman,
Yeah,
and your
yeah,
sixth one is
yeah.
the in swinger. It can, but you want them to be the exception to confuse rather than the sort of rule. And
The
there were far
norm.
too many outswingers on Sunday, and Rice's delivery just wasn't there. And some days that is going to happen. But when it is happening, that's when you change your set piece taker.
Yeah, I just wonder if he had the added pressure, and I know he'll probably get ridiculed for that, but the added pressure of actually taking them from the other side when he doesn't normally take them, and he knows it's not his best attribute. Maybe
Yeah,
that
possibly
dropped a bit
trying
of
too hard.
confidence. Yeah,
But I think it's just because it wasn't what he was used to doing, and that that delivery is very very different. Although what did make me laugh about Declan Rice was when someone asked if he was, someone quipped that he shouldn't have been playing for Arsenal. He should have been joining the British and Irish Lions because he kicked for touch, didn't he, in the first few seconds.
oh yeah, yeah, he kicked for territory. Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it was obviously a joke rather than a
yeah,
genuine, but
yeah,
that did make me
obviously,
laugh. And then
but
cleared the crossbar.
it was on purpose, wasn't it?
I,
He did look like it was on purpose.
I've wondered if he was looking for Madueke and just overcooked it.
I, I thought he went the other wing.
Oh, I thought it went right, but you might be right. But
I think he went
Martinelli
to
then.
Martinelli.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's Martinelli's side. You're right. It would go down the left-hand side, but yeah, it's
it was a bit of a
you know,
weird one.
yeah. I mean, he either overhit it, or or it was on purpose. If it was on purpose, I'm struggling to wonder why the hell we did that. But
Well, I'm guessing it's just for the press,
maybe, but
but we didn't seem to press from it, so it's a
no.
bit weird.
And you don't want to see the ball straight to Liverpool at home, but yeah, it was an odd one. And obviously, I
Yeah,
mean, the one that went over the bar was, just a massive miss hit, wasn't it? For the
yeah,
free kick.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
But it,
that happens. It's
yeah, But it did make me laugh though to is he auditioning for the British and Irish Lions? That did tickle me.
It's funny. Khalid says we took 4 out swinging corners the whole of last season. Why change now? Well, we didn't have anybody that was either confident enough to take the corners or that was on the list. So I don't know if they've seen Madueke taking corners in training and they've thought, well, there's no way we're going for that, or what? I don't really know. But it is a bit of a weird one, especially after seeing the first 2 or 3, and they had 0 impact.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I would have preferred to see any left footer take it, to be honest. If not, just like you said, for a bit of variety. Obviously, when Erdegaard came on, he was the left footer taking them, but yeah, it did seem a bit odd to me.
Yeah, it was. It was, and it just wasn't working. And even if Madueke's been messing them up in training, well, you know, it wasn't working for us anyway. So why not try it?
Yes, yeah, there's a certainly different aspect. Another eventuality this weekend. I don't know if you've actually seen it. I mean, if you're living under a rock, I think you probably missed it. But yeah, the Chelsea Fulham game, the Fulham goal from Josh King, ruled out. What did you make of that?
Oh, it's just not a foul, is it? I mean, absolutely. I mean, they've come out to say it afterwards that it was a mistake. And look, mistakes will happen, but they should happen far less frequently VAR because you've got a lot of you making that decision and you've got all the technology there to support you. My frustration with VAR is that it should be clear and obvious errors that you are coming for, and we're coming in for everything else. And I think the accusations about it re-refereeing the game are absolutely fair. And and this is one of those ones where I don't. It wasn't given on the field. It was correctly not given on the field. So why the hell is it being brought over? And I know that you can sort of say, as a match official, on-field official, you can have a look at it and you can overrule VAR, but it happens so rarely. And you're worrying, I presume, if you're the referee on the field, that, oh Christ, I must have missed something if they're sending me over to the screen. I think
Yeah,
that alters your
yeah,
frame of
yeah.
mind.
It's
You know, it,
almost it's almost like a thumb on your head, isn't it? That goes,
yeah,
yeah, you got it wrong, mate.
yeah,
And you're like, and he was so squinting at the screen, like he was looking for something that he'd missed,
yeah,
like he couldn't see what he was talking about.
yeah,
Well, if you can't see what he's talking about, mate, don't overrule your decision.
yeah,
Give your original decision and stick to your guns, mate, because there was nothing wrong with that decision.
no,
Absolutely, and the VAR actually bringing it up is one thing. The ref changing his thoughts when there's clearly nothing wrong with it is just a bit crazy to me.
yeah, I agree entirely.
Yeah. Absolute shambles. The rest should be dropped. I completely agree. The ironic thing was that the VAR official who brought it to his attention but didn't make the decision was dropped because he was supposed to do our game,
Yeah,
and the ref is perfectly fine with
yeah,
his marine haircut. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't get these. I don't get the officials having weird haircuts.
I mean, I'm not one to talk about haircuts given the state of my hair, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but that
it's
I just consider that a normal haircut, right? He's like he looks like a marine. It's just like
um,
I'm getting the boss, and he walks around so bolt upright.
uptight, doesn't he? Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not too worried about the appearance of the ref, to be fair, but you make you make a valid point. But yeah,
I'm making it more from a point of view that it's um the sergeant major approach
yeah,
rather than whatever. You're supposed to be a ref,
you can be in charge without being
yeah,
that, right?
the man.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
the Chelsea player has stood on the Fulham player's foot. because he's been beaten by a great bit of skill. And I'm not blaming a Chelsea player for standing on his foot or going down, because presumably he's overbalanced himself at that point. But yeah, it's just a shambles of a decision. Like,
Well,
no
well,
one
the,
felt well.
well, the thing is that he's basically the Chelsea player's nowhere near the ball. Where he started doing the pirouette is nowhere near the
Yeah,
ball. So he's planted his foot.
yeah,
So what's he going to do? He's going to usher his knee across to his ankle so that he can reach out and go for the ball.
yeah. It's just baffling, isn't
It's
it?
just baffling, and people on there going on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, basically going, it's a free kick all day long. Right? Okay. If that's the case, then you shouldn't have had a penalty.
No, no. I mean, that just it's almost a double injustice, wasn't it, on Fulham? On the day. I mean, I hate penalties when the defender is running and the attacker trails his leg to make the defender trip him up. I understand why it's a penalty, but they always frustrate me. As a I obviously nowhere near Premier League level, not even close. But as a defender who's given away penalties like that before, you're like, where did you want me to put my foot?
Yeah. Where am I supposed to go?
Um,
Yeah.
they've always frustrated me, but I can see why they are. But on this one, it's like the Fulham player has been fouled, and he's the one that then had a. It's just, it just wasn't. And as you say, you can't say that's a foul and then say that it's a penalty
That's
the
a
other end.
penalty. No.
You know,
No. I mean,
you just can't.
I hate when the when strikers basically running with the ball and they literally just knock it away just so you touch them,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like, well, that's not a penalty because you forced the impact.
yeah,
Vardy, when Leicester won the league, is literally the same thing, and he just literally just knock the ball away a little bit, hover his leg to get it entangled,
yeah,
and go over like a sack of.
yeah. And that goes when Arsenal players do it too. I'll take the
Yeah,
penalty, of course,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm also got some sympathy for the opposition when those are given.
Yeah, I mean, the other one I saw a lot in the Liverpool Arsenal game is, and you see it in every game now, where the defender, whoever is defending, whether it's a defender or not, just sticks their ass out and basically has no intention of playing the ball, to the point where the opposing player has got to come round him, and
Yeah.
you're making yourself bigger and bigger and bigger, and then he gets a free kick for it, and you're like, no, you're obstructing the ball. Obstruction should be brought back for that.
Yeah, I think I probably agree. Actually, I think there's something in it in trying to make yourself bigger, but with a natural part of your body. I'm not saying the bottom isn't, but as in, what I mean by that is a part of your body that you would reasonably use to defend.
Yeah, but also I think if you're ushering the ball out and you're moving with the ball,
Yeah. Yes.
in the direction of the ball, that's fine.
Yeah.
I have no
But when
problem with that whatsoever.
it's when
If
the
you're
ball's this side and you're sticking your
yeah,
ass out this way,
you're
I
sticking your
agree.
ass and you're getting further and further away and just backing up.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, man, that shouldn't be allowed.
No.
I mean, yeah.
Or if it is allowed, then don't give the free kick the other way for the tiniest little nudge on them.
Well, exactly, because they have
They are
forced the
looking for
contact.
the contact. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you've literally forced them. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. They're the ones I always have sympathy for. This is spot on.
yeah, this was Bruno, wasn't it, that stood
Yeah.
on the Villa player,
Yeah.
and he got a penalty for it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think we had one similar to that as well, where he was given as a penalty. I think it was
I
just
don't remember that last season. The one I remember clearly as a bit of an injustice was as a handball from, I think, Saliba at Bournemouth.
Yeah, his hand was here somewhere, and it kind of knocked up onto his hand.
Yeah.
But we had one of those last
from point
season as
blank.
well.
Yeah.
No, but we had one of those at Inter as well, didn't we?
Yeah. Yes, but at least the UEFA rule is clear that it hits your hand in any position. The penalty area.
See, I thought that, and then you watched the preceding games, and it didn't work for everybody
No,
else.
exactly. That has to then be consistently applied.
Mm.
But I actually prefer the Premier League rule. I know it means that then it's a more subjective decision because actually, I'm sorry, if your hand is behind your back and it deflects off another player and into your hand, you can't possibly see that. But in the UEFA rules, that would be a penalty. In the Premier League rules, rightly, that's not a penalty. I know that's an absurd thing that's
What
unlikely to
was your
happen.
take on what Canate did? Because he obviously kept himself narrow, because that's what the ruling is. You can't make yourself wider. But he did a pirouette on the spot to usher the ball away. So he kind of rotated. And as he rotates, the ball comes onto his arm.
Yeah. So, I mean, my view on that is that is a penalty because, yes, he's kept himself narrow, but he has
He's made himself
essentially
bigger by going forwards.
right, and he's moved himself in the direction of the ball,
Yeah.
and it's hit his arm. So for me, he's moving his arm towards the ball, and therefore it is a penalty.
Yeah.
You know, you could make the argument that if that ball's coming into your body and your hand's out here and you move it in, you're moving towards the ball, but you're trying to make yourself smaller. In that instance, he's making himself bigger and moving his arm towards the ball, and for
Yeah.
me, that's a penalty.
And
I,
I'm not saying that we should have had a penalty for it. By the way, I'm saying that the officiating should give that for everybody.
yes, I agree.
I think that should be a penalty for anybody, because I
Yes.
think because you could quite easily stand still and it'll hit your chest.
Yes. Yeah.
But you chose to spin, pirouette, do whatever you wanted to do to make your arm in contact with the ball when you
Yes.
didn't need to.
Yeah, and it's similar to the Odegaard one that we got away with last year,
Yeah.
when he fell on the ball, because Odegaard could, having seen the ball, and you could see him see the ball as he falls, could have moved his arm out the way, but he didn't.
Yeah. I thought that was a penalty.
And I thought that was a penalty, just in a similar way, you know. And
Yeah.
I use that as an example deliberately to demonstrate that this isn't because Arsenal would have got the penalty in this occasion. I
Yeah.
thought Odegaard was incredibly fortunate. He is unfortunate; he's falling, but he could have moved his arm out of the way.
Yeah, and for me, I think it's different if he clips the ball because he's trying to avoid it to get his hand on
Yes.
the ground to keep himself stable. I think then that's not a penalty because you've tried to avoid the ball.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that, so he kind of used the ball to propel himself up.
Yeah.
Now,
Exactly.
granted, it was higher, so it helped him stand up.
Yeah.
But for me, that's a penalty.
Yeah, I think the only way that's
and just 1
No.
second, their excuse was his arms were close to his body. It's the rule. The rule is that his arms are close to his body. He's not trying to make himself bigger. That's fine. That is the rule. But I'm just saying, not just in that instance, in any instance like that. And with the Tarkovsky one, what did you think with the Tarkovsky one? Was it last week?
Yeah, I don't remember that, but I remember messaging my mate that is an Everton fan, and my message to him at the time was, I think that's a really unfortunate penalty for you to concede, and I don't think that is. But I can't quite remember what happened now. But I just remember messaging my friend Rob, who's an Everton fan, and saying that to him. And you know, that because I can't quite remember what happened, I can't say then whether Konate's is too because of the Tarkovsky one. But like you, his arm might be close to his body, but he's moving it away from his body towards the ball, and that's why it is.
He basically lunged to the ball, kept his arms in, and then he moved out a little bit, but his arms were close to his body, but he lunged to the ball.
Yeah. I think there was one against John Stones against Brighton or Tottenham. I can't remember which one it was. His arm was right next to his body. He's not moved his arm and it's hit his arm, but it is literally by his side. You know, for me, it was rightly not given a penalty.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd have given a penalty if his arm was out here and he moved it to his side and then it's hit him. Because
no, I think if you're trying to retract it, I think that's fine as well.
Yeah. But Konate was going the other way, even though it only got to here. It's for me a penalty, and that's why.
Well, was that might have been a different one we're talking about.
No. I mean, I'm just using it as an example that his arm is moving away from his body, you know, and therefore it's a penalty.
But what does it for me really? And again, I'm not crying. I'm not saying that we should have been given that penalty. I think the rule should be changed. But what did it for me is, I used to defend. I used to be defensive mid, and
far too much running that.
Stroke centre back. Yeah, when I was tired. Anyway, so yeah, I've done a lot of yeah, I'm just going to tense up and let it hit me,
Yeah.
and there was none of this.
No. No,
And
exactly.
in fact, if I'd have done that, I'd have got a slap on and I got off the field.
Oh, I took a pummeling on Monday. I must have taken 3 or 4 to the body. You got to be if you're a defender, you're going to have to take the whacks. But
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
but I think your point here is right. I you know I am not going to whinge and moan and say we didn't draw the game because we should
yeah.
have had a penalty. I think it
No, we
is a
shouldn't.
penalty. But I'm not going to absolutely crucify the officials for it because I think it is a subjective decision. I think you'll see some give and some not, and I think that's kind of you just have to accept that's going to happen in football because my view on a penalty might be different to your view on a penalty. On this one, obviously, it's the same. Because there are some that are going to be subjective. But I agree with you. That for me
But
is a penalty
this is the
for the
problem.
reasons you articulated.
Yeah, but this is the problem, and if you're basically looking at something and giving a valid reason as to why it is or why it's not. Do you know something I don't?
Well,
What are you trying to say,
I,
like?
I mean, Maldini was a quality defender. I mean, I'd take those comparisons all day long.
I mean, I'll take it. I mean, I wasn't anywhere near that level. I can guarantee you that. But and I'd like to be YouTube Maldini as well. But on 300 subs or thereabouts, I don't think I can compared to that either. But hey, yeah, I'll take it. But yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I mean, it's always going to happen. It's what VAR was brought in to introduce, and I think it's sort of false hope, really, isn't it? That was always because you still got humans making decisions. But yeah, for me, it's a penalty because of that movement away, and that's what makes it a penalty.
Yeah. But yeah, like that, like we said, I think that should those things should be instilled in the minds of referees, but that comes from the top, so it's probably never going to happen anyway. But it'd just be nice for us to know what's a penalty and what's not,
Yeah, and
as well as
that's what I
the
was going to say
players.
before Maldini. Yeah, and that's where actually, I do think this is what should be introduced. Was the referee comes out after the game to explain his decision? Because actually, if the referee comes out and said, "I felt that was a natural movement," I might not agree with that, but at least I can understand why he has made that decision on at that moment in time.
But the problem with that is that then I'm going, what,
Well,
what,
but we're doing that anyway, right?
what are you talking about? Yeah, with that, because what did he say with the Chelsea one, with the Fulham one?
He came out and said it was the wrong decision, didn't he? But
No, it was the words he used.
yeah, I can't remember exactly what he used. It was very odd.
It was
It was,
very odd. It was a very odd explanation. You're like, what?
yeah, I
The
can't
thing,
for the life of me think how he's seen that's a penalty. But I mean, I'm not sure how you explain that one as a referee. Whereas at least a Canate one, you could have a logical explanation, which is my view was he's not his arms in a
he
natural position.
himself thin
Yeah,
and whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, but yeah, it was still a very odd one. The actual disallowing of that goal.
yeah. And it was oddly
Um,
phrased. It was
yeah, it was just like really. I just like how have you come to that conclusion? I
basically he's
just
tried
don't.
to protect his referee, hasn't he? But there's no protecting him from that because it was just the wrong decision. And look, he's a human being, and uh, you know, um, they are going to make mistakes. The problem is he had the chance to rectify it.
Yeah, he
Um,
did, and he screwed that up as well.
yeah, exactly. But as I say, the
So
Canati one, I'm not going to throw the referee under a bus for because I can
yeah,
see how he says that's not a penalty. I can see that, but for me it was.
yeah. I mean, it was an expected result for me with Chelsea winning against Fulham, to be honest. But Man United Burnley did it. Is that the way you expected it to go? We'll just do a quick rundown of the results.
I expected United to win. I wasn't expecting 3-2 necessarily, but I think you'd expect United to win that game. They did win the game, and as I said earlier, you know they were never as good as people said they were. In terms of their overall position against Manchester. After they played us, they weren't as bad as they were in the other games. They are better than Burnley. There's no question. They got
Yeah,
the win. I
absolutely.
think they were slightly fortuitous. Burnley will feel. not hard done by, but a bit like us, disappointed not to have got the result. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Did you think the penalty in that game was a penalty? The 97th minute one.
I don't actually remember the
He
penalty.
basically grabbed his shirt on the chalk of the box, and he went down forwards, but went down in the box.
Yeah, I mean, if you've grabbed your shirt on there, then I suppose it is a penalty. I don't remember that one. It was just ironic because I watched the entirety of Match of the Day with my children who love football, both my daughter and
Yeah.
my son. But I don't actually, still can't place a penalty. But I remember thinking they're very lucky to get a penalty that late in the game because I thought, 7
Yeah,
minutes
I think they were
by all
lucky to
accounts
get the. Yeah,
seemed long.
as you say, I think they were lucky to get the situation of the penalty. I think the penalty was a nailed on penalty, really. Yeah, he got a proper handful. He moved it probably about a foot away from him. And all right, you can argue he doesn't make him go down forwards, but if you don't go down, you ain't getting it, are you?
No. I mean, you can't blame,
Can't blame
if
the
if
athlete.
a defender's grabbed your shirt, unless you're about to score, you go down wherever you are.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, I mean, but strangely, even after you described it, I still can't recall the penalty. How
No,
odd.
it was like it was Ahmad on the right hand side, and yeah, they're coming into the corner of the box. He's grabbed his shirt, and I think it might be marginally outside, and Ahmad's kind of gone down, but he's still got hold of his shirt when he's gone down. So
You just
it's a
can't do that.
penalty.
Yeah.
It's a penalty. What's it saying here? No yellow card for crowding the ref. Have we seen anybody get it? Nope.
Yeah, no, we're waiting for us to do it, and then it's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
I'm slightly tongue in cheek, but
tongue in cheek, but we bet it happens.
yeah, you know what, I've no issue with crowding the referee being yellow cards for 1 or 2. I've no issue with that. And I coach junior football, and
Yeah,
I go absolutely mental. I mean, I don't go mental at them; they're children, but they will get a telling off from me if they crowd the referee. I will always say
yeah,
to the referee beforehand, my lads or girls, because I have both, they might ask you why, because they genuinely want to know what they have done.
yeah,
I'm hoping you'll explain to them because it's part of their learning. But
yeah,
if they are rude to you and I don't hear it, or we crowd, if they crowd, we'll be telling them to go away. And if we hear them say something rude, they're straight off. Sometimes we can't hear. If they do, you flag it to us straight away. We're bringing them straight off. Don't
yeah,
care because
yeah.
they've
Fair.
got to learn. Although that ironically we didn't make one last year where both of our defenders shouted "why" at the referee at one point last year, because even me and Rob were up in arms when we gave away our 18th free kick in an
Oh
under
wow.
10s game. Every time, every you know, and when my two that lost their temper with the referee lose their temper with the referee, something's gone wrong because they're placid as anything. And they'd won the ball repeatedly. Every time they won the ball free kick, it's like there's no way they're giving away 18 fouls in one game. They haven't between them given away 18 fouls in 3 seasons.
Absolute madness.
That was the
Brilliant.
one time we made an exception, and we explained to the parents afterwards, and they were great. We were as cross as they were.
Yeah, we would have done exactly the same. Don't worry.
But what made it hard was my boy was one of the two that's you just literally saw them jump in the air and scream, "Why?"
Wow. Yeah,
But there you
weird.
go.
There we go. Sunderland beat Brentford 2-1. Were you surprised by that one, or
No, I mean, I think Sunderland have had a really good window. I think Sunderland have still got that early buzz, and I think they'll be a good side. I think they will hit a patch at some point where they struggle, but I think Brentford are adapting to a new manager, trying to replace Thomas Frank, no easy task. And they've lost some of their best players, so I think no surprise there. I think it's a good time to play Brentford. I wouldn't be shocked to see Brentford go down, but I think they've been a relegation scrap, but I don't think they will go down. I think it'll be two of the new guys, and as you said earlier, Wolves.
yeah?
But no surprise for me there. But Sunderland won that
I kind of agree with that. Sunderland at the moment are kind of the Forest of the league. Let's see if they turn out to be to be dropping like a stone or actually holding it. So it'd
Yeah,
be
I, I,
interesting
I
to see
think
that
that's
one.
right. Just while we're on Brentford though, quickly thoughts on Reece Nelson going there?
I was surprised, to be honest, because obviously he was linked to Fulham. I think he was linked to Palace.
Yeah,
And was there a foreign club involved there somewhere as well?
Turkey. I want to say Besiktas, but it was one of the
It might
Turkish
have been
clubs.
Besiktas, maybe Besiktas. I can't remember now.
It was certainly
But
a Turkish side.
yeah, I think it was a Turkish side. I think you're right. But I think Brentford would be good for him, to be honest, and I hope he does well there. Because they've got some money now, so they can buy him.
Yeah, I think if he stays fit, and he was doing really well at Fulham before he got that
Yeah,
horrible hamstring injury, I think it's a good signing for Brentford. I think it's the right level of Reece Nelson, and will bring some money in for us. I
yeah,
mean, I
absolutely.
I was surprised it was Brentford because there'd been no links, but I wasn't surprised it was a London side he went to because he's very, very settled in London and wanted to stay. So I think it's a good move for
Yeah,
everyone. Just hopefully it'll be made permanent.
yeah, absolutely. Yes. We're going on to Wolves now.
Yeah.
Wolves played Everton and lost 3-2. So another game that I didn't really see 5 goals in, but what
No.
do you make of that?
Funny enough, I wasn't shocked that it was 5-2 in the Manchester United Burnley game because I don't think either side are, brilliant defensively. But yeah, at the same
Yeah.
time, shocked that they could score that many too. But yeah, it was an odd one, that one. Everton winning that game didn't surprise me. If they'd drawn it, you know, again, wouldn't have shocked me. But I had Everton down to win that one. I think Everton under David Moyes will be somewhere around 14th to 12th this season, but there'll be a big gap between them and those bottom 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think they're starting to build a good side there. David Moyes is good with those sorts of sides. He really is. That's his bread and butter. And I just think Wolves lack all quality. So I no shocks there that they won that.
Yeah, I mean they won last week, didn't they? As well, didn't they? Everton.
Yeah,
Yeah, they beat Brighton, but
yeah.
that first game that they played against Leeds, I don't know what they were doing, to be honest. I know you're saying it's Moyes bread and butter, but it was a very subdued kind of performance. It was quite odd. It was almost like a West Ham Moyes rather than an Everton Moyes, to be fair.
It was, yeah, but it's funny though. I mean, you look at that first weekend of the season. Only 2 away sides won on that, which was us and Man City. And
Yeah,
I think the worst fixture you can get on the first day of a season is away at a newly promoted side. I think it's
yeah.
absolutely horrible, and I do wonder if that had a factor on it. I really do. I
It's
wasn't
like
shocked to
a
see them beat Brighton because it was their first game in their first new stadium, but
it's like a playoff final and FA Cup final all rolled into one for him, isn't it? It's just
yeah,
like a
yeah.
madness, really.
But you're
But
right, though. It was a very poor performance, a very odd performance from at Leeds. But
yeah,
I think David Moyes will have them nice and solid. No, no, they'll be the
yeah,
side that everyone forgets about this season because they'll just be there.
yeah. That
Jack
both of
Grealish is interesting though for them.
yeah. I thought he scored. He's made 4 assists as well, hasn't he? Since
Yeah, yeah.
he didn't start the first game, he was the coach. Did you see that? On the
No, I
thing,
didn't see
giving it
that
all.
quote. I but
He was doing the
was he was it was it was he doing a Rumen Amarin?
yeah,
Was it with the board?
Amarim, that's it.
But I mean, he's just been given a bit of
WTO.
license. He's been given a bit of license. Oh, Sabuccio, what a game! He's been given a bit of license though by David Moyes, and credit to him. He's just gone, just go and be you.
Yeah,
Out
just
there.
try and be yourself,
Yeah,
do whatever. And yeah, he got a bit of mojo. He's giving shirts to kids and stuff, and
yeah. He's found his
brilliant
love
signing
again,
for
hasn't
him.
he? Found his love of the game. But Everton have
Yeah,
form with that. They had what's his name? James Rodriguez, didn't they? Went there and did sort
yeah,
of similar things.
yeah. I mean, he didn't stay very long, did he? Because I don't think he.
Stayed a
He-
season and then
yeah, I think it's probably the wrong part of Liverpool, to be fair. But Khalid said Wolves are in trouble, and Zinchenko to Forest deadline day deal. And yeah, I don't know when you saw this, but I don't know what. I was on a stream actually
away.
at the time, and I said check Twitter, and they're going what? I said check Twitter, just check Twitter, Orny post, and it was like yeah, um, there was dancing and all sorts. I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I was resigned to him staying, and
Yeah,
you know, I've no problem with Zinchenko as a player. I
yeah,
think he played his part. It was obviously an overpay, but I think when you're trying to do that, you do have to overpay.
yeah,
So I'm not going to criticise Edu and Arsenal for that. But you have to get that, you know, players that can make a difference to you at that level. You know, basically come down a level, and that's what it was at the time. But it was the right time for him to go, and he was always going to be a hard sell because of his wages, and you know, he fits a very particular type of side. I think, you know, if Arsenal couldn't get a fee for him, he wasn't going to play. This was, well, I'm surprised with a loan and disappointed we didn't get a fee. We're saving what 8 to 10 million in wages, and I think there's
yeah.
a loan fee with it as well. So at least,
Yeah,
you know,
there's definitely a loan fee, although it's not divulged what that fee is yet.
I heard rumours it's 4 million.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I'm not overly disappointed with that, to be fair.
But the key thing was getting him out. He wasn't going to play.
Yeah,
He was clearly
he's
unhappy as
on.
well because he wanted to
Yeah,
be playing, and I respect that actually.
yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, it's
you
not
know,
not like Rodrigo where he's happy to sit on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Yeah,
think, you know, I'm glad that he's gone for him. I'm glad Arsenal saved slash a bit of money slash got a little bit in, but you know,
yeah,
I was surprised because I thought, oh god, he's staying, and no one's going to take him.
yeah. Somebody that I speak to quite engaged with quite a lot on Twitter basically says, yeah, he'll destroy us when we play him, and he's like,
Yeah, you can see.
yeah, it's a
It
low.
actually is he actually eligible to play for?
No.
No, thank God for that.
No, not unless we actually give special permission,
Yeah,
like Wenger did.
yeah.
I can't remember what player that was now, but somebody on
Was it
loan.
was it Maitland Niles he let? No, that was it Maitland Niles or was that Emery?
Can't remember, but we give special dispensation to
Yeah.
somebody.
Well, let's not do that.
Yeah, I don't condone that to anybody. If you got a loan player, you do whatever. That then sorry. Yeah. So Khalid says, "Love the Rodrigo dig. Don't want this mentality in." No, if he's happy to sit on the bench and play second fiddle, then I don't want him. Sorry, I want you to be playing and want to make a difference, not to
Yeah.
just be making numbers up.
I mean, I agree. I think the only thing I would sort of say would be if you actually are staying because you think you can get back into the side, I think that's slightly different. But right now, you know, I think Rodrigo could go and score 10 goals in a game and he's still not playing the next game. But you know,
Yeah,
and I think he knows it.
he sat on a bench waiting for an injury, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's it.
You
So
know,
if nobody's getting injury, he sat on bench.
yeah, exactly, and he knows it, and I think there is a
Yeah,
difference there. I mean, I
yeah,
would still
absolutely.
take Rodrigo at the club to be fair,
Mm,
you know, I can understand what you're saying now, and that's where, as I say, I've got full respect for Zinchenko, which was I just want to go play football.
yeah. Although he didn't want to take a wage cut doing it.
No, but
And
yeah,
so
which
that,
you know,
that that was a bit of a sour taste, a little bit, but I get that as well because he's under a contract.
yeah,
But you know,
but
if
you
if you
also earned
just want to
quite a lot
go
of money.
play football, just go and play football. Stop quibbling about bloody numbers.
Yeah, you know,
Um,
are you going to notice a difference between 80,000 and 100,000 a week? I would argue probably not.
well, the thing is, you made your money anyway, haven't you? 150k a week. You're not going to struggle for the rest of your life unless you're proper dwindling it. But
Yeah, I could see you don't want to leave just to play football if you're going from, you know, 100 to 5k a week or something daft like that. You know, I mean, still
yeah, but
5k
he'd
a
be
week.
under contract anyway, so it would have to be
He's
made
still
up
gonna
anyway.
exactly, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
So
you know what I mean. I mean, on a permanent deal. But
yeah,
you know, obviously we'd play football for 5k a week. Of course we would. But you know what I'm sort of saying.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I'd manage for 5k a week and all. To be honest. Leeds, Newcastle was a bit of a
Damn squid, wasn't it?
it was a bit of a damn squib. It was yeah, a non-event really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very dull, very just nothing really. And I think that kind of sums up, with the exception of that Liverpool game, the Newcastle start of the season.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought Leeds did a good job. To be
yeah,
fair, I thought they knew they were the lesser side, and I thought they they did very well.
They
They
played
were
into that, didn't they?
yeah, yeah, exactly. And look, you know, that for them that point is a big point.
Mm.
And I think they play similar to us. They played to not lose, but felt they could win it if they stayed in the game, and that's what they sort of looked to do. Um, I think Newcastle will improve as those sort of forwards sort of get used to it, and of course that's going to be in time just to play us. But Newcastle do look like they're missing that sort of forward, and I think they will be helped by the circus of Isak now sort of leaving. But it was a very very poor performance again from them.
Yeah, I wonder if the dressing room was quite divided while that was going on,
Yeah.
and probably now he's actually out the door. Maybe that's united them a bit, and that they can now go. You know, we're all on the same page now. Let's crack on.
Yeah, I mean the only thing is that Newcastle's defensively very good in that game. Leeds did Leeds even manage a shot on target? Or it's certainly not very.
One, I think,
Yeah,
but I think I can't remember his name now. Harrison, I think, put one. I've never seen one go as high ever. It was crazy.
maybe he was going for the Irish, English, and Irish, British and Irish
Yeah,
line.
I think he was trying to get it outside, something, trying to get it in the river. But
Oh,
yeah,
but
it was a
it was a
bit mad.
very dull game, very dull.
This 17:30 thing is a request by Newcastle because there more fans in Saudi can actually watch the game. Apparently,
Is this true?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. The later it is because it's early there,
Yeah, yeah.
then that they can actually watch it. So they've actually requested later slots, which is why generally we get the 8 o'clock Monday slot because they request the latest spot.
There you go. Well, I mean it's hindering their own side, but
Yeah,
there you go.
there you go. Yeah,
If you ask any manager, they will say they don't want to play the 5:30 kickoff.
I would I don't like playing first and I don't like playing last.
No, 3 o'clock
So
Saturday, lovely.
yeah, 3 o'clock Saturday all day long. Thank you very much. Even 2 o'clock on a Sunday, I'm all right
Yep,
with that. But
yep.
I don't want to play the 4:30. I certainly don't want to play the 7 o'clock. The
Or
last
the
game,
Friday night, unless you're home.
yeah, Friday night is always going to be away for us. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I was doing a barbecue at the time when this was going on. The Brighton Man City game. Holland obviously opened the scoring. Milner equalised, and Gruder scored a winner in 89th because guess what? City were attacking, and they got picked off.
It's, yeah, I mean, I watched that game. I watched most of the second half. I watched all of the second half, sorry, and got the end of the first half. My daughter had just finished playing football, so we missed some of it. My son was trying to watch it in the middle of a field on my phone. But
Wow.
I mean, City were defensively a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, I said when Kushnov went off injured, I said to my son, I was like, actually, that might well have just done you a favour.
Yeah.
But they looked defensively solid. I thought attacking wise, Brighton really weren't threatened by the goal. They just didn't offer a lot. And, I remember turning to him sort of 10, 15 minutes into the second half, going, I don't think you're winning this. I mean, City were poor. Brighton made them look poor by playing very, very well. But
Yeah.
it was no shock to me when Brighton got a winner. But by the way, here's a stat for you. James Milner, second youngest Premier League goal scorer ever, and the second oldest.
How old is he now?
41.
Or is he 41? I didn't.
Or
I
40,
thought
he might be 40 in something days, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he was. I give him 39, but I didn't look it up. So yeah.
Oh,
I
he's
knew
39. He's coming on 40. Sorry, my
Yeah.
apologies.
Yeah. I thought he was.
Yeah.
Um,
All I know is though he does a good job with the ironing board. Do you remember his
yeah.
account, boring James Milner?
Yeah. Absolutely, he's mad. It's 12:30. Saturday is the worst. Khalid says may well be.
I think if you ask the players, they'll tell you that's the time they least want to play.
Yeah, I think 12:30 any day. I think is probably not a good time for them
Well,
at all.
they have to have pasta at like 10 in the morning, and they
Yeah.
absolutely hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I would say that probably finishing games at 10 o'clock at night doesn't really help them either, to be honest.
No,
So, but there you go. Forest lost to West Ham 3-0.
that was a shock. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think Forest are. I've said it all last year. Forest were the recipients of them not getting many injuries and lots of teams around them getting lots of injuries. It was a very odd season last year.
Yeah.
I think Forest are going to struggle this year because there's unrest behind the scenes. They weren't as good as they were last year. We just all know it, and they're going to have European football. But
Yeah.
the European football hasn't started yet. This is a big loss. Equally, I never thought West Ham were quite as bad as their start to the season. I wouldn't be stunned to see Potter lose his job at some point this season, but I didn't see 3-0 coming. But I, I thought that Forest's best hope was a draw.
Yeah.
I thought West Ham would win it. I just think Forest have got big trouble. And
Okay.
I wouldn't be shocked to see Nuno be the first to be sacked this season.
Yeah. How did they get on last week? They won last week, didn't they? Oh no, they drew, didn't they?
Yeah, it's
Drew.
just, but when things are falling out behind the scenes, and the
Yeah.
owner has had a row with him on the pitch last year, which I know apparently has been put to bed, but you wonder has it really? He's gone big on Edu and Nuno falling out. Who's the owner going to back? You get the feeling it's Nuno. This is correct, by the way. I
Yeah.
think pressure's still very much on Potter. I think he will not last the season, but
Yeah, it helps him that it's away from home
a big one.
but no, but I think away from his own fans, I think as
Yes,
well.
yeah,
I think that helps him because I think he was under massive pressure from his own fan base. So I think he maybe he just needed that away from home game, a little bit of get away from the pressure cooker, and pick up the points, and then he can take that back home.
yeah,
Oh, he won away last week, so we give him a bit of breathing space.
yeah.
So I think that come at a good time for him. To be fair,
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Sort of, as you were sort of talking, it was sort of reminding me of Arteta during COVID when we were
yeah,
struggling. You know, if we had fans in the stadium, then it might well, gone very differently for him. And I think,
yeah,
obviously he's got to go and face the fans next week. Well, not next week, it's internationals, but but it might just have given him a bit of breathing space. You say, and I think that's helped him and the players. I think
yeah.
that's a really good point.
Forest fans want Nuno gone if he doesn't play the new signings. Well, I mean, yeah, this is the whole point. This is the other problem. You should say Edu signings. I'm not sure they are Edu signings, to be honest with you, because were they in place before Edu got there? He was on gardening leave, so it's much the same situation as Berta for Arsenal. He couldn't really do some of the stuff. Granted he's taken over a lot of the business, but there was some that was just simply already in place.
Yeah.
So
It did make me laugh when he was given full credit for getting Zubimendi done. It was done before he arrived, but I go back to the point that at most clubs, it is a combination of some players, the director of football, we bring to the table, some the manager, and some other scouts or what have you. But ultimately, it's generally not always, but generally a collective decision on whether players are signed or not.
yeah. And then last but not least, Villa at home losing 3-0 to Palace.
Yeah, I mean, Palace, I think, does have that collective spirit. I think Glasner's a good manager. Palace sort of. I think this was a bit of a two fingers up to the owner a little bit from Glasner, going, look, I can do this with this squad. I need backing. Are you going to back me? And apparently they have fallen out over deadline day and not enough signings coming in. But I think this Glasner going, look, if we can do this with this, you need to help me because I've got Europe this season. I
Mm.
think Villa are a little bit of a mess this season. I think, they were always going to go backwards. As you said earlier, they were forced to sell their best players. They couldn't keep the players in on loan, etc., etc. So they're always going to go back this season. I mean, they're not going to stay anywhere near where they are now, which is, I think they might even be bottom, but certainly in the relegation zone. But for sure, I mean, I wasn't. I put this down as as a Villa loss. I think Palace are, even without Eze, a good side, and I'm delighted they kept hold of Mark Gehi, by the way. Mostly
Yeah,
where he was going to go to, rather than because I'm pleased.
yeah, for
Palace.
sure. But I am happy for them as well. To be fair, because I think being asset stripped or whatever for gain for whoever. I think Eza was going to go anyway. Uh, I'm worried when you lose Gahey and whatever. I mean, obviously you've got the left back Mitchell.
Yeah,
Um,
but he's a left back,
for
which is
yeah, he's not going to come in at centre back, but they need another centre back. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And I also think it probably is helpful for Mark Gehi, by the way, because it is a World Cup
yeah,
year, and
yeah,
I think a Van Dijk or Konate injury is highly likely at some point. Do you want to be risking, to your point earlier about Rodrigo, do you want to be waiting for an injury? And I think that's what you are doing because, Konate and Van Dijk still very much, the second best centre back pairing in the league.
yeah.
Obviously
I like Lacroix actually as well.
yeah,
The other centre back, I think he's really good, and
yeah,
I think Pino's a bit of a coup for them as well. To be
yeah,
honest,
yeah. I
I
think that's
think
fair.
is really quick and quite nimble.
Yeah.
Um, Santi-esque type player. It's not the same level, I don't
No,
think, but
no.
I think he
I
has
see where you're coming from.
carries the same kind of traits.
Yeah, I can see where
Um,
you're coming from. As you
but
say,
yeah,
not the right same level,
no,
but I think
but
that's a really good pickup for them. Really
yeah,
good.
but
Uh,
yeah, I think that was really good.
we did miss one game, by the way.
Which one?
I don't think we discussed Tottenham's excellent result.
Oh, did we miss that one?
I think we
Oh,
missed Tottenham 0, Bournemouth 1.
oh, did we miss that one?
It
Okay.
would be a shame to miss that one, wouldn't it?
It would be a shame to miss that one. I don't know why I skipped by that one. To be honest with you,
Oh,
but
this one did surprise me, by the way. I thought that Tottenham would
yeah,
win this one at home. But, as you can see by my face, I'm very, very
yeah,
disappointed.
very disappointed that this happened. Yeah, I mean the title challenge that's where that was, isn't it? But
A mate of mine, Luke, I've known him a very long time. He's a Spurs fan. And I messaged him, title challenge. You guys can't be serious. He went, I wish some of our fans would shut up. There's no way we're in a title challenge. He said, if we can get top four, that's a result this season.
yeah. Do you see them battling for top four? Do you think that they actually making the top four?
No,
What
no,
do you think?
no. I think they'll finish sort of 6th to 7th.
Yeah, I'd put them there as well, and probably Man United in that as well. So
Yeah, Manchester United don't have Europe, and I think that will help them. And the
no,
reason I think Tottenham could be challenging top four if they didn't have Europe, because I think their deadline day was a very good deadline day, but
yeah,
you don't want to be bringing that many players on deadline day because it's going to take them a while to settle. If they'd done that earlier, that would have helped them more. But obviously, they lost out on Morgan's Gibb White and they lost out on Eze.
yeah.
um,
So
but I think they've got a good squad. I think they've got a good manager, but I don't think they're deep enough to go Europe and the league. And I think they're going to get through the group stage of the Champions League, so they're going to go into sort of February time as well. I just don't think they could. A bit like us a few years ago, I don't think they can sustain it on all fronts. So unless they
yeah,
decide to go all in on the league, at which point I think they could make top four and just go, we're going to forget the rest. I just don't. I can't see them being able to do it across all fronts, and that's why I think they finish 6th or 7th.
yeah. I mean, I kind of see that that kind of thing happening with Newcastle as well. To be honest, I don't really see them holding everything together.
No.
They've got a few signings, but I don't think they're good enough. And do they still hold a Champions League berth without Isak? I'm not sure they do.
No, I think even if they did bin off all the other competitions, and I hate the phrase bin off, but I don't think they're good enough for the top four because I don't think that squad is deep enough. I think had they kept Isak and used some money elsewhere to sort of fund other signings, then you say yes. But even then, I just don't think they would have been deep enough this year. I really don't. They were one of the fortunate sides last year. But again, they sort of chose to drop points. They threw games away in the league deliberately to go after the cups, and fair play to them, they won it. But I think when you are at that level, you've got to make a choice: are you going for the league position, or are you going for the cups? Because I don't think the sides are deep enough. We had that a few years ago, and I think that's where they are now.
Do you think the top four from where we are? Do you think we're back to the norm where it's essentially between Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, City?
Yeah, I think that's the top four, and I think there'll be
Yeah,
a gap to 5th, and I think it will be a fairly substantial one. It wouldn't shock me
yeah,
if it was 10 points, but something like 7 to 8 points would be what I would think will be the gap.
Yeah, that's kind of the difference in spending from this season as well, isn't it? So it's kind of it's opened up a little bit, but yeah, I completely agree. I can't see Tottenham sustaining it. I can't see Newcastle being back in there. I can't see Villa being up there. Unfortunately, my best man's a Villa fan, and I do like Villa, to be fair, but I just can't see it happening.
Brighton might be a wild shout. I mean, not for Champions League, but I could see them sort of 6th, 7th.
They might make a Conference League spot.
Yeah, they've got no Europe, and I think they're a good side.
Yeah. So yeah, and they've invested a bit as well. So yeah, well-run club, to be fair.
Really well-run club, and I mean, I'm not just saying that because they beat City at the weekend. I think they're well set up to play and beat City. As I say, I think just they're like Newcastle are for us generally, but I think Brighton are genuinely a very, very good side.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and they play different ways as well. To be fair, so
Yeah.
they don't just play the same way every game.
No.
And they can muscle up and do whatever and just spoil games as well. So
Yeah. And they've got decent players coming in when one or two are missing.
Yeah.
They can bring in good replacements.
Yeah, they've got the algorithm working. So yeah, they're all
The
done on
old
numbers.
poker chips are being played by
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Mr. Bloom.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we're going to call it there. Thank you very much, Dom, for joining us again.
No, it's always a pleasure. I really enjoy being on.
Yeah, but thank you very much. Make sure you follow his channel as well. It's on the title on the screen. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the show. I'll be away on holiday next week. So back in about probably be a fortnight, to be fair, once we're done with everything, unless we can scrape a show on Friday. But yeah, so thanks very much for joining us, everybody. I've been Sparks. This is Footy Corner. We'll see you next time. Good night.